everyone, and welcome to another episode of a HORRORific Talkspot. Happy
Yo.
Christmas, holidays, New Year, and all that good stuff. I think
Happy something.
we're finally coming to the end.
Because you can't say, Christmas anymore or something because that's offensive, I
I don't
guess.
care what you call it, as long as you enjoy it. That's especially this year, for sake, you need to enjoy something. Calm down,
Right.
people. But yeah, this shitty year is nearly over. Fucking, oh man. Just hope.
Yeah, it's definitely been a thing. it's for
Yeah,
damn sure.
here's hoping next year at least some light starts shining into the tunnel because, oh god, can't carry on like this much longer. It's absolutely maddening.
Yeah, well, I can imagine it being quite crazy from a country that's actually, doing something about the situation, making the citizens be safe and careful.
Yeah.
Here it's just business as usual. You just gotta throw on a face mask.
Yeah, but it's not enough that we're doing stuff. We'll have to go invent new strains. It's like, yeah, yay! I'll take your COVID-19 and raise it one. Yay!
Right.
Friggin' madness. Anyway, never mind that. Do you know what's really pissing me off at the moment? Streaming services. Honestly,
Yeah, they're
getting on my nerves.
licensing is coming up.
Especially when this segment kind of relies on us being able to go and watch movies without spending an absolute fucking fortune. Trying to find one or two streaming services that'll get you what you want is a nightmare.
Yeah, no, it's
I
impossible.
actually cancelled my Amazon Prime again because it pissed me off. Trying to find, first of all, trying to find one version of the movie, then trying to find the original. Oh no, don't put them together. No, go to another streaming service to find the original, and then go to one to find the remake, and then go to one to find something else in the series. Fucking, and then you still have to rent.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. I mean, at least the nice thing with Prime is there's ways to get around it. Like I didn't want to spend $3 to rent the movie that we're going to talk about later. So instead, I spent 99 cents to get a month of CBS Unlimited, whatever the fuck I had to stand on it. So I mean, there was that. Saved a couple
yeah,
dollars.
I noticed that, but the thing is, they offer it, but we can't get over here because of this stupid region system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely the thing with dealing with this podcast is trying to figure out how the fuck to coordinate it between two different regions.
Because we were going to talk about a movie, I can get it here, but you can't get it, and it's on the same service, and you're like,
oh, I can get it here. I can get it physically, not digitally.
yeah, but
unfortunately,
once again, we've already subscribed to these services, and it should be simple and straightforward. And oh man, it's just like how much money they want? Like $100 a month. Like I don't sit and watch TV every day. I'm too busy doing shit like yourself. So I don't know what they're expecting, but honestly, I'm happy to pay for one or two services that I might watch the weekends, and primarily for this show for research. But this needing 6 or 7 different streaming services just to get a handful of like particular movies or TV shows. I've actually given up on TV shows at the moment, but it's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start getting into all these. I flipping started going down a rabbit hole actually to get one of the movies. It was on some like random thing I'd never even heard of before. And then you end up having to sign up for it, and then you rent it. And then I'm like, is this? I don't know this service. Is this going to rape my bank account without me realizing? Just to watch a movie. And it's like, I'm actually thinking just going back to the physical media because honestly, it'd probably be.
That's the way I prefer. I'm okay with the inconvenience of standing up and putting something in my.
Yeah,
so much
actually,
easier.
I'm thinking more ban a box set. At least you have it, and you've something physical to hold on to, look at, and you're not paying for a load of shit that you don't want. Tacked on just to fill up these streaming services when it started off good. It was a good idea, and now, as usual, competition and just stupid lawyers making deals in the background because that's what it's all about. It's all about lawyers and writing these shitty contracts, and or you can have this too in the series, but then you have to pay us X number to get the next one. And actually, we're going to rent it to these
Mm-hmm.
guys because we don't want to give you a monopoly. And it's just, it's just slimy boardroom shit going on in the background, especially
Oh yeah.
movies from like the 70s and the 80s. Um, like at this point, you've more than made your money. I think calm down.
Oh,
And I
shit.
think that's actually, if you looked into it, the reason that there's re-releases and Blu-rays, etc., and 4K now is to get around the public domain issue. So once something's over 25 years old, it becomes part of the public domain. So I think these re-releases actually reset the clock on that. That's my tinfoil hat theory for this month.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, of course, companies that are doing it just like out of the pure love of it, but I mean, that's pretty far and few between.
Yeah, it's just I never thought, especially looking back into the past, I could understand brand new releases, but we aren't getting those. So that's part of the reason why we're
Mm.
focusing. We're not just two old codgers looking back at the glory days. It's actually it's what we've got at the moment. It's not as if we can sit and go to cinema anymore. And it's
Yeah.
actually become more complicated to buy old movies or rent them or watch them, which most people except us geeks have forgotten about.
Hmm.
I don't know, just find this funny. But anyway, that's me bitching for the minute. Any roads. What have we got in the show today?
Well, today let's start with some horrific releases. Click button.
Yeah.
So holy shit, this one. This all right. I fucking speak the praises of Gremlins every year as being the best Christmas movie there is. This has taken its spot. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
talk about
Like I my wife and I were laughing like idiots the entire fucking time. Even throughout like the rest of Christmas, all we would do is look at each other, do this shit, and bust up laughing. We're talking about the Creepshow holiday
yeah,
special.
and we thought we
Holy
were
shit.
gonna. I thought we were gonna struggle this month because there's absolutely nothing out there. And then, lo and
Uh-huh.
behold, thank you, Creepshow. You saved our lives because this was going to be a really
Hmm.
difficult episode. Honestly, we were scraping the barrel. Especially after last month with so much to choose from, and then this month
Hmm.
was like, shit. What's left? There's this one that might be all right, or maybe this one, and there was nothing. And then, sure, lo and behold, the day is saved. So
Yeah,
obviously,
definitely.
spoilers before we go ahead, because fucking I don't do that. Not talking about the bits of the movie, because what's the point? If you don't know what, if you haven't watched it, go away, come back.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
Just pause this. It's like 40 minutes. You got time. Go
yeah,
watch
we'll
it and
still be
come
here,
back.
probably talking shit about it and everything else. But okay, so effectively, story is Weston seems like typical average day dude. He becomes afflicted with a condition where he's having blackouts, and it just starts with him coming down to the bottom of his church, knocking on the door like it's a gambling den. And it's just entitled SA.
That's so good.
Even before
So
we
good.
begin, we just know it's going to be a piss tape because I forget his name. The other guy's but not about to let him in, and it's a whole.
Hmm.
But I went on the website. But I was speaking to blah blah blah. I was, come on, man.
Yeah. But I brought cookies.
He just takes it. Like, he's about to slam the door. We know eventually he's going to get let in, but just the whole play, you know that this is just going to be funny. It's not going to take itself too seriously. Oh my! So SA Shapeshifters Anonymous.
Yep, that
Yep,
sets it
that's it.
all up.
Here we have a little group of people, and I love these when they don't try to, when they don't have too many characters. not too many effects. It's one room, so you know it's going to rely 100% on the acting. So it's either going to be brilliant or it's going to be shit. Like, there's no way to go with this. When you've got just a room and people, and you know there's probably going to be flashbacks and stuff, that's it. It's all relies on the character actors, and they did not disappoint.
No, not at all. It's so damn funny.
But yeah, then he starts to tell the story to I forget the name of that. I should have took her name down. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at actresses. Honestly, I don't care. When I watch a show, I immerse myself in their character, and then I'll actually not recognize that person if I see a picture of them on the red carpet or something. If that makes sense. Like, I just see the character, and unless they're a really bland actor, that like that's why I don't like Hollywood, because all the big names, it's their movie. Earliest example of that had to be Sylvester Stallone when he ruined Judge Dredd because of his ego. Do you know what I mean? It's all about the star, and you don't actually see the character. I like to see. That's why I like these smaller budget and that, because maybe because these guys have to try harder, they have to invest more in the character. But I think it's when they become like too big for their boots, so to speak. That's when things get ruined. So I forget actors' names left, right, and centre. It's nothing personal. Sorry, guys, but I don't care about yous.
I just fucking forget names, period.
I just don't care about yous. I'm here to see your art. If it's good, I'll enjoy it. Don't care who you are as a person unless you annoy me and call me names for whatever reason. Then I don't like you anymore. But apart from that, it's all good. So they all start telling their stories. What we'll have with a cheetah, with a tortoise, a wild boar,
and a boar, and a furry.
Actually, I was reading an article that they got some shit for doing it. It's like, you're being racist. It's like, no, it's just she's just another character and playing a comedy role. What the hell?
Yeah, what the fuck? All it is being inclusive. She's a fucking hero in the end. So how is that fucking wrong?
I don't know. You just can't talk to these lunatics. Honestly, they're out with their pitchforks and burning torches, looking for any excuse, any deviance from the fucking holy book of woke.
They got to be offended.
Like, calm the fuck down. This was funny. Was there any character you did not like? There you go.
No, I loved everybody in this.
Like, did you actually end up hating anybody? You know, that's how if you're enjoying an episode and you like each character, because that's why we have stereotypes. That's why we have comedy. You know what I mean? That's why we have like fun and jazz, because there's an element of truth, and it's just having fun, and you're not going, haha, you're a dick. You know, you're actually laughing. It's more British humor than American, I think. We like to laugh at the shortcomings and celebrate them within ourselves. So that type of humor maybe doesn't translate well across the pond. That's why people get upset. But that's the whole point. Not everyone's a big glistening hero. It's a bunch of ordinary people, all screw-ups, which these groups all are. You know what I mean? You don't go to these groups if everything's all fine and dandy in your life. You're going because you need something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it starts going through, and then Weston, he's basically the main character in this. He's going through his episodes and the scene in the doctor's office. Oh man,
that show was so damn funny. Nothing like getting some random change and zippers pulled out of your ass. And so nonchalant about it too. Acts a little uncomfortable, and the doctor's like, whatever. And he's just having a conversation.
It's like a button coat, a zipper, and 75 cents and change or something. Just
that's something like that.
Just sets it in front of him, going, yeah, you might want some sleeping pills and see a psychiatrist. There's nothing more I can do.
Yeah.
If you're blacking out and that's what you're passing. Yeah, that was.
Just lock up all the shiny things that look delicious.
Yeah, he made a comment like that, wasn't it? Just be careful if you see anything delicious or something. It's like, brilliant. But you just know this is going to be you wonder how it was going to turn out. You know, I did not expect the way the movie twisted, but
No, that came out of fucking nowhere when the Book of
yeah,
Bob comes out.
yeah. But when they start trying to find out why he became a shapeshifter, and it's like, were you cursed by a gypsy? Well, there was this one old woman, just some random old lady curses
That
him,
shows so.
and they're like, "Yay, let's go find her and get her to take it off him." I had her. Yep,
And her
and her as
dog.
well. God, what is it with movies lately and freaking picking in animals?
Well, I mean, at least the nice thing is they didn't show it. Like that's the shit that I fucking hate is when they
Yeah,
show it, unless it's necessary for the
yeah. I think
story.
we'll talk.
Which that wasn't. It was they were just being funny about it. Like all you see is the
Yeah,
collar, so that was
just
okay.
seems to be I don't know. Maybe we're just watching this certain train of movies that all feature shit happening to the animals, which we both hate. So it's like fuck,
Mm,
punishing ourselves for no reason. But
yeah.
yeah, and then like you said, oh, now we're ready to start the meeting. That was the whole thing. He gives his whole backstory, and people are talking, and now we're ready to start the meeting. It's like, what? What? It's not started yet.
Yeah.
And then we'll have Frank, who you just know he's going to be the main character. The dude that's just sitting there not speaking. You just know we're waiting for his
Hmm.
moment. Like it's all set up. There's
Yeah.
nothing surprising about the characters in this group of people, which also worked. I don't know. It's kind of fun because they're
Hmm.
not trying to be too clever. Because I hate it when they try to be too clever, and then they box themselves into a corner.
Hmm.
But yeah, you know we were just waiting for Frank's moment as well, and then they start talking about the folklore.
That shit. That was the best. Like the whole Santa Claus shit. Like Santa's an angel and they're there to fight, Satan and shit or whatever. God, that was so
Just
funny.
come out of nowhere. You're like, what? Like, I thought it was going to be maybe a problem solving, trying to get him to, you know, find out what he was or lift the curse, but I was not expecting to go this direction. And I'm just like, holy
Yeah,
shit. And
no.
then also, modern age, he's recruited every Santa Mall Santa. They're all part of his
Hmm.
army. And then we got a
Yeah,
glimpse of
that
that as
shit.
well when he was walking towards the SA meeting, wasn't he? One of the Santas like,
Hmm.
you're evil, blah, 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 you know. And
Hmm.
yeah, also, Weston isn't just a shapeshifter, but he's also a serial killer. You know, he's actually on the news. So his alter ego, his lycanthropic character, is actually all over the media. So it's not even as if he's just quietly, accidentally eating people's pets or thing. He's actually
Hmm.
on the news. He's a haunted man, and he's
Well, and that's his whole purpose of going to the SA meetings was because he figured that was him that was on the news and he wanted to try to get his shit under control.
yeah. He figured out it was him. It was really funny, and then it just goes nuts. There's no other way
Hmm.
to describe. Like it goes halfway into the episode where it's just all set up and building, and then to go through the lore, and then almost as soon as it got it done, they're getting attacked,
Yeah. And then it was
and then it
nonstop
was
from
just
there
the
on
other
out.
half of 20 minutes just complete nuts.
Hmm.
They have in this SA meeting, they have the secret gun cabinet, and it's like battle stations. Like it just flipped. Like this came out of nowhere.
Hmm.
It just flips. They go to battle station and then they're getting attacked by an angry army of Santas. Like how
Yeah,
many
shit's so
corpses were
funny.
there in this follow up scene? And then this is when finally we get Frang just we were just waiting for his moment anyway. So it
Hmm.
turns out he is basically the father of all lycanthropes. He was the original angel.
Hmm.
and gives them all a potion. This will help you. You can change it well now, and it doesn't control you anymore.
Well, the best part with that is he gives it to the furry, and then she's like, "Oh, damn, it didn't do anything." It's like, well, no shit, you're a fucking furry. You're not an anthropope, whatever
Yeah,
the fuck they were
lycanthrope.
calling it. Well, no, it was a
Was it?
different word because lichen
Oh yeah.
specifically is
Weston was the
werewolf,
lycanthrope.
whereas
That
they're
was
all
sorry. That was
different.
the lore.
Yeah, yeah.
He was the yeah. That was part of the Book of Bob.
Hmm.
That the lycanthrope would save them all. Yeah. Sorry, my apologies, but yeah, anthropes or something to come up with.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was she just goes spaz after that. Just
Yeah, that
she
was
actually
pretty
gets
funny.
angrier than the rest of them put together. It was brilliant. But yeah, just carnage ensues. Uh, Frang then he kind of hangs back until Santa appears. Like he gets Santa Claus in this movie as well.
Oh my god! And this is the best rendition of Santa ever.
Love the claws, like steel pincher type claws.
Hmm.
Just this is killing Santa. This isn't cookies and milk Santa.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Well, and it's funny too because he was a creation from God essentially. Like his armor was from God, so he could defeat the lycanthrope. And then that doesn't work, so he had to make a deal with Satan for the claws. And it's just like, there you go. There's the name. That shit was so
Yeah,
fucking funny.
I'm surprised they didn't manage to wrangle reindeers into this. I think this just needed a few killer reindeers just to really amp it up the 11.
Hmm.
Although it's pretty amped anyway, but
Yeah, it's pretty
I think if
goddamn
the
good. Yeah.
reindeers had a crash through and had laser beams or something, that would have just been. That's all
Oh
this
yeah.
episode needed, just to make it completely mental.
Mm.
And then obviously we get the final battle scene, and of course swish swish, uh, all the good stuff. You know it's gonna happen.
Hmm.
But how did it end? It was yeah, Weston and
I got
yep.
decapitated.
It wasn't Frank that did it though. It was a furry, didn't she do it? Yeah, she's the one who
Hmm.
decapitated. She came up behind and just lops his
Yeah.
head off.
Yep. And then at that point, uh, Frank gives everybody their. He's like, "Hey, guess what? Now you guys have full control of your powers, and you can be fully cognitive while you're, switched over." So then, of course, the furry, she wants to be a hippo so fucking bad, and then she ends up getting some. I don't know. I'm assuming that's somebody famous as her wish. I don't. I didn't get the
No,
joke with
that's
that.
probably just you have to know the actors or something, or be part of popular culture. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
that's a problem. Like I said, don't do celebrities, so just goes
Hmm.
right over the head. But yeah, yeah, this could have been a real struggle this month, but that was absolutely brilliant. This new iteration
Hmm.
of Creepshow on Shudder is just fantastic. I haven't been disappointed
Hmm.
yet. I only went to watch one or two episodes and then just binge watch the entire thing over like 2 days. When I first flicked it on, I'm like, oh, what's the next one? Oh, one more, and my eyes are like up in stalks. Just I have to sleep. No, what's next?
Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with how it's turning
Yeah,
out.
so if they keep along that same vein, don't take themselves too seriously, and don't listen to the online mob. Don't fucking
Yeah.
listen to these morons, because honestly, you're doing exactly what you can, and everyone's included, and it's all about a good fun, and nobody's like coming away from these things going, "Oh, I really hate those people." It was fucking just good fun,
Hmm.
which horror is meant to be. You know what I mean? It's nobody cares as long as you're getting sliced and diced and chopped up into bits. That's what we all love.
It's just good, clean, wholesome fun.
Yeah, we were meant to have a guest, but unfortunately, technology is not our friend. So we were going to talk about
Yeah, we almost didn't have a me today because of
Yeah,
technology.
there was a storm
So
here
shit
last night. In
happens.
fact, there's loads of trees like all over the pavement and in the park and stuff. Heard it last night. I'm like, oh
Oh shit.
shit, we see power lines are going to go down or something. Just and then because it being the holidays, like there'd be nobody out to fix it. But lucky enough,
Hmm.
I was a bit wobbly this morning, but yeah, we got here the end of the day, so that's the main thing.
That shit. My computer had the lovely DOS screen when I turned it on this morning. I'm like, oh,
Oh shit,
great.
that's that.
So almost didn't
That's
have
never
me.
good.
But since we do have both of us, let's go ahead and get into horrific
Sounds like a
remakes.
plan. Ah, friggin' used the old one. I've actually went and updated and changed. You probably may have noticed all the graphics because I started off with 3 years together, and now I'm starting to nitpick, and it's pissing me off. And that's the old one. I'm like, I changed the other two, I think,
Oops.
and I'm like, oh, oh, man, it's getting dark in here. But yeah, we thought we'd have a look at the Ring slash Ringu.
Yeah,
Old
didn't
classic.
get a chance to watch Ringu because that's I never have enough time to watch everything I want to watch. But holy shit, I forgot how much I didn't hate this movie. Like when everything in the early 2000s had to be, a remake or a remake of the Japanese version or just some dumb just any sort of remake. Like this one was not that bad.
No, and I have to admit, I did enjoy it. It didn't try to do anything clever, reinvent the wheel, or it made a couple of slight changes.
Hmm.
But generally, it's actually a watchable movie on its own, without
Hmm.
being even not knowing it was a remake. It just made a very good standalone movie.
Hmm. Well, the nice thing too about this movie is like as I was watching it last night, I remembered watching like the behind the scenes stuff that I watched like when it first came out. Like there's a lot of stuff in this movie that people take for granted, like because the majority of the effects were practical, even down to shooting the mirror. Like that was a big deal back then because holy shit, you're shooting a practical mirror with a camera and it's not picking up the camera. Like that was a fun little bit of watching the movie last night was remembering those behind the scenes specials.
Yeah, because there's still magic in movies. Unfortunately, now it's just three letters describe everything. CGI,
Hmm.
that's it, and there's no magic anymore. No, excuse me.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's good to go back and see that there's actually effort and imagination, and when a director wants to portray a scene, they don't just go to the computer lab. It's like, okay, how do we make this work and
Hmm.
reliable? And when you don't see it or can't tell how it works, it's like any stage magician show. You know it's a trick, but when you can't see it,
Hmm.
that's half the fun. But essentially, the story for everybody who hasn't seen it is it's based on an urban legend. Both stories are essentially the same anyway. So I'm talking about Ringu first. Just what I think the kind of differences were. The start of Ringu I thought was more brutal than the Ring, just because the effects were a bit dated, but not that much. Because I think there was only like a few years difference between these movies.
Hmm.
So it's not like Ringu was made in like the 70s or something. It was like late 80s. I think it was 89. Or was it later? Oh
Ah,
God, I
fuck, I don't
forgot to look
remember.
that
Like
up. It's a
listen, I didn't get a chance to
yeah.
watch it, so
God,
I'm not gonna be able to bring too much to the
if I
table.
had to bring all the facts to the table, there'd be like 20 pages of document here, and I'd just be sitting staring at a screen reading of everything. And I'm trying to keep that
Yeah.
slight because nobody wants that. You can go on Wikipedia and look it up if we want that kind of shit, you
Hmm.
know. But it was a recent movie, so there wasn't too much difference between them. But the
Hmm.
Ringu, the effects were slightly dated, but still, the makeup effects are outstanding in the original. So at the start, when the two girls, pretty much the same as the ring, are talking about the legend, and then which we find out later, she sets her friend up to watch it to get the curse lifted. But when she gets caught, and you see her in the cupboard, the closet, and the makeup in the first one was actually more terrifying than the remake. But the story's a lot slower in the original. So I thought that in the ring, now the same director had input into both movies, which was cool. So that was a good thing. The Japanese director, he had input into the remake as well. So it wasn't as if he was just shut out. So he actually, I think in the second one, he looked at the first and made some slight improvements, because in Ringu the pacing at the start is very slow. So it takes a while for them to get there, with the investigation and basically these deaths and the urban legend, and then trying to find out the difference, or sorry, this origin story of Sadako. Sadako's in the original, and then it's Samara in the remake. But it's essentially the same story, It's no, sorry, wrong. In the original, Sadako does have psychic abilities, but her mother was the one that was actually being tested and experimented on. Where in the remake, it's actually Samara is the one in the lab and being, made to go through all the different tests. So that was a slight difference. So in the first movie, Sadako is angry because she's watching what is being done to her mother, and that made her angry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she lashes out, and then her father spirits her away. They went into more as well, I think, because as well Japanese culture and the time. Because I think the originals was like 1950s. I thought when they talked about the eruption, they were going to talk about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the atomic bombs. But when they weren't doing the original movie, talks about the eruption, but it was actually the eruption of a volcano. So it's the premise of the story is that basically Sadako's mother essentially suffers from Cassandra syndrome. She can see events happening into the future, but nobody believes her. So the fishermen hate her. They don't like her. They're disturbed by her because of they think she brings bad fortune to them in the ocean when she tries to warn them. And then that's where essentially they're trying to prove that she has these abilities. So she does these demonstrations in front of news cameras, and then the news just goes crazy at her, and that's what sets Sadako off. And then what happened to her mother? I think her mother killed herself because of it. Yeah,
Yeah, like I said, it's
yeah.
been a very long time since I've watched Ringo,
It's
so
hard
I
when
have
you're
no
trying to
idea.
watch a couple of back-to-back movies. You're like, trying to take it all in. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so the whole scandal and why things happened was her father was a university professor, but he was a married man with two kids, and he actually had an affair with Sadako's mother. So she's essentially the illegitimate child of the
Mm-hmm.
doctor and her mother. And what happens is he spirits her away. And another main difference in the original movie, which I thought the remake did a better job, but in the original movie, it's actually her father kills her, and he
Mm-hmm.
basically she's standing by the well. He bops her in the back of the head, and then drops her in the well. And it's not that obvious. It's just because we know what the story is, but it's not that obvious why it was called the ring in the first one. Because for half a
Mm-hmm.
second, the lid's closing over, but you don't see the outline of the ring. It's not as clear in the original movie. So that's something that they actually made clear in the remake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely a
so
lot more apparent.
the remake isn't it isn't reinventing the wheel. It just made a few slight tweaks to I think just change the pacing of the story and get there. The original took a long time getting to that point where we find out Sadako's story, and then the fact that she's buried in the well, and then they go and find her. I thought that in the original it did a better job at the well scene. The effects and the way her body was a lot better than I thought that the remake was a bit airy fairy the way they did it. The floating body to the surface is just wasn't as good. So I think the first one wins.
Well, and then the CG reveal of the skeleton, that was
Yeah,
was a little dated.
but the first one was practical effects, and they didn't have her shown as a little girl. They just had her shown as a skeleton, and she still hugs her anyway.
Hmm.
Both actresses were pretty good. The uh, I didn't think any of the two of them took away or were better than the other. I think both of them played their roles very well in terms of their culture and the character, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Another major difference is in the original they had the ex-husband. He was the one with psychic abilities. So it was the ex-husband could see the dead. He could almost sense them and know what was going on. Where
Hmm.
in the remake, the son was the one with the abilities, and the ex-husband was just
Yeah.
basically the video uh, engineer, or was it audio sound engineer?
Hmm.
Was it video?
No,
Was it
he
visuals?
was a visual tech. Yeah.
That was a good thing. We were talking about this last time with dubbing and sound effects. You can see in this movie how bloody difficult it is using magnetic tape to try and before the advent of anything digital, investigations and trying to isolate sound and noises and like stop and start. You could just see how difficult it all was. You know what I mean? They give you a very very
Hmm.
good insight into all this. So for anyone maybe a bit younger that's watching this, look at the ring and look how movies and films are made. Look at the technology and how difficult it was, and then maybe you can understand why we think that a lot of new movies are just lazy now. Because you have the ability to do so much more. Even in this thing, like flipping computer sitting on your desk, you can almost bring out the same, if not better, quality than TV shows made in the 80s and 90s
Hmm.
just from your like living room.
Yeah.
So I think with that, that's why the bar's so high on them, and Hollywood don't deliver, or it looks thrown together and lazy when they've got entire production teams to do these things. It's kind of why people get a bit annoyed, and then you're expected to nod and smile and like these movies, and uh, when you don't get annoyed, they get angry with you. You're like, really? Look at what they did even back as far as the 2000s, or as recent as it, with the technology and what they
Hmm.
were able to put together. It's amazing though that for a remake, The Ring has managed to produce like the most one of the most iconic scenes in horror. I think you know what I'm talking about. That
Yeah, of course,
yeah,
her
that
coming
like
out of the TV, which has been like ripped off in so many different ways
yeah,
since.
like they did it in the first one, but it didn't have the same impact. So that's why I'm glad actually the original director had
Hmm.
input into this one. He knew what he wanted to achieve. He didn't have the technology because I think it's like 10 years out of there's like 10 years difference between the movies. And being given the new technology, he has managed to create one of the most well known. Even if you've never seen this movie, you know that scene, and
Hmm.
it's been done on prank shows. Um, what you know that Just for Laughs thing with the had the TV store. I think that's the most famous one, and they have her crawling out of the TV in the department store. They've done that loads of times.
Hmm.
Um, they've had her coming out of lifts, mirrors. This actually had an impact, and for a remake, that
Hmm.
it kind of tells you how good it is. That there was
Yeah.
actual effort and a genuine want just to tell a good story. So, are we getting lost? Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
yep, I'm back.
I think we're suffering from technology again. The old connection. Yay.
Yay, technology.
Um, yeah, I think there was genuine love to want to make this movie. Now, I haven't seen the sequels, and I don't really want to, because
Wait, so you haven't seen the
well,
last
in
one
an
that came
airplane or
out? The one
something.
that was last year? No, no, no. The one like there's one that just barely came out with the actor from Mandy and fuck else was she in? Trying to remember, but like it just barely came out like last year. That
Yeah, I
shit
don't
was
know,
fucking
because
great.
the original story, I can't see where it's going to go. You know what I mean? Because yeah,
Hmm.
they've already discovered her body, so she's been interned. You know what I mean? She's uh, been dealt with. The crime's been solved.
No, but well, that's where the remake works because at the end the son's freaking the fuck out. He's like, "What do you mean you got her out? She was supposed to stay there." And that's like the last couple minutes of the movie is them explaining she's never going away. You've only made it worse by removing her body, and that's how the story can progress
Uh,
and how it can keep
I don't know.
going.
I just I'm worried of like sequels of the like. Don't forget, this is back in the 2000s, and where everything's getting milked dry. So I kind of thought they would maybe shut their load a bit, and then they were going to just milk it to death. So that's why I've been reticent to actually watch the
Mm.
sequels.
Well, the new one, I definitely recommend it because it's almost a well, I mean, it's a sequel, of course, but it's almost a sequel to both. Like it kind of works in both realms because it actually starts off with um, the original Ringu. So I think
Oh,
it's worth checking out. I really thoroughly enjoyed it,
okay, no, it sounds cool. Didn't they do one where it's
and it's nice too because it's more of a like the sequel. It's more of um, a journey into how far a mother will go to protect her type of thing, and I thought it
yeah?
was a
I actually
fantastic film.
preferred the ending to the remake than the original, because the original she's just VCR in her passenger seat and she's driving out the meter sun, so there was no payoff or explanation on Ringu.
Mm-hmm.
Where in the remake she's actually getting them, taking them through the process of copying it, and then the son obviously gives a
Mm-hmm.
revelation. But yeah, like I said, both have their merits. It wasn't like the first one was a really terrible movie and needed to be remade, if that makes sense. And it's not like the remakes
Mm-hmm.
a cash grab, just on nostalgia, because Ringu was Japanese horror was pretty well unknown at that point. It's become more popular now,
Mm-hmm.
but it was only like weirdos like us that watch foreign movies that would have picked up on some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Chinese don't do horror very well. I think they rely too much on wire work. I've seen a
Mm,
couple of Chinese attempts at horror movies, and they don't sit well. The
yeah, I'm trying to think of any that I've enjoyed because I love J and K horror, like especially Korean. Like Korean does, they do it great.
Yeah, God, I'm trying to remember some of the stuff. Yeah, but no, Chinese try to jump on that thing, especially Hong Kong cinema, because that's massive over in Far East. But they're
Mm-hmm.
too emotionally attached to wire work, and that's where they kind of ruin it. So they still use a lot of like Crouch the Tiger, Hidden Dragon type style, wire work. So it takes away from it being
Mm-hmm.
a horror movie. It just becomes another like basically kung fu movie.
That's you say
No,
that
not
like it's a
at
bad
all.
thing.
I'm a massive fan.
I fucking love kung
I
fu
grew up in
flicks.
Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung.
Mm-hmm.
They were my heroes. But
Hell yeah.
when you're trying to do a different genre, you need to step away from what you do, if that makes sense. So it didn't become a good kung fu movie. It just became, you know, some weird. I watched about three or four Chinese attempts at horror, and I can't even remember the names. They just did not land well. I think if China wants to get involved, they need to like just reinvent the wheel, just step back, and just start from scratch. Yeah,
Mhm.
all in all, it was a good experience. I have to say, did enjoy it. Yeah, I'll have. To,
Yeah, I was glad I watched it. It's been a very long time since I have, and reminded me how not
yeah,
sucky that movie was.
it's easy to forget when you've seen something from years ago, and you're like, was it that good, or is it nostalgia, or has pop culture taken over?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it was definitely one where it's like I remember liking it a lot, but it's like that was also before I really started getting into Asian horror. So was it really as good as I thought it was? But it was fun.
Excellent. Right.
Which, yeah, all right. So let's go ahead and finish up with some
Indeed.
horrific vault.
No, we'll have to have us. Yep.
So this first one, this one is around because of
Yeah.
licensing and regions. We're supposed to talk about the Abominable Snowman because that's relevant to this season, but I couldn't watch it, so instead we're going to talk about something that has nothing to do with the season,
Indeed. Oh
Twins
my
of
god.
Evil.
This is why I went on a rant. Trying to find that movie on a streaming service uh, was virtually impossible. It's like Prime's like, nope, not in your region. Uh, Netflix is like, no, we don't do anything fun. Shutter's like, YouTube didn't have it, which is weird. No, it did have it, but it doesn't have it in my region. And it keeps still popping up EU.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping 1st of January this will all change, and if we don't get a shitty trade deal, then actually get this sorted out, that'd be cool. So I went to some weird random website, finally got it, rented it, and oh my god, this is classic Hammer horror.
Oh yeah, it's everything
Oh
we love
yes,
about Hammer. You got your Peter Cushing, you got your cheesy 3M blood. It's
and
just so
twins,
perfect.
Genu- genuine twins
And
who are
twins.
absolutely gorgeous, and buxom
Mhm.
blondes and brunettes and uh, ladies just galore. It's just beautiful. So for those of
Mhm.
you who haven't seen it, basically it's set in Switzerland. Or Vienna, yeah,
Was yeah, that
Vienna,
sounds about right.
yeah. So essentially, these two young wards, Frida and Madeline. Sorry, Madeline's the character's name. Frida and her sister are essentially going to live with their uncle
Mhm.
because their parents have passed. And of course, her uncle, Peter Cushing, Gustav, is a religious fanatic, a Puritan leader of the Brotherhood. Who the opening scenes are basically going to a random cottage in the woods and just finding the nearest defenseless lady, accuse her of witchcraft, burn her alive, because why not?
Mhm. Exactly, that's what you do.
Like,
Apparently not in this day and age
yeah,
because then the
that's.
cops
But
show
they,
up.
they essentially were the cops. That's a scary thing. There was the rule of religion, the rule of law. You know what I mean? Europe was not a nice place up until the 20th century. Even then, it still wasn't great. But yeah, the opening scene is the barge into this cottage. She's wearing a cross. Gustav rips it from her, saying it's not the real thing. Like, if you're a witch, you're not meant to be able to wear uh, any sort of Christian idolatry. It's meant to burn you and stuff, and yet she's wearing it, quite happy, but still not enough. They just needed a victim for the night. Take her, and that's how it starts. She's getting burnt alive for absolutely no reason.
I mean, she was a female.
I very
That's
much there. She.
it's a pretty good reason.
Yeah. What I'm getting. This isn't the story of good and evil. This is a story of power. This is a story of those with power and those without. You know what I mean? That's the whole theme being told.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in different forms of power too.
So the movie isn't trying to apologize or normalize anything. It's actually very intuitive the way it's telling this story. So the twins arrive and then they meet their uncle, and then because they're not wearing black, they're instantly marked as sinners, you know, because they moved from basically the city into a provincial town where things are backward and different. So they're even trying to say that the modern world is encroaching on these people's beliefs, and there's going to be conflict. The way the sisters play off each other is brilliant. You know what I mean? They're just two completely different characters. Freda's the feisty one.
Oh yeah.
You know exactly she's the one that's going to succumb and get into bother. And then what we'll have, so got to meeting the uncle, and he's already written them off as horrible harlots for daring to not wear black anymore. You know, that's the opening scene, and then to go to find another young lady to burn. Like, how many young ladies are in the spur going in these villages? Like, they're not highly populated places.
Quite
like,
a few apparently. Because he even got some up at the castle.
There's no shortage of them. They're from pulled from everywhere. But yeah, this is where we first meet Count Karstein, because he goes to burst into this cottage because a woman dares to live alone. Like, his henchman, the little sniveling, oh, I saw this one and she doesn't want to get married, so let's go burn her. As in, probably refuses advances. Do you know what I mean? So this is where we start to see the interchange of power and those with and without, because they go to burst into the cottage, Count Karstein's there, having a bit of dalliance with the young lady in the cottage, and then the Brotherhood basically shit themselves. Just, oh, we can't do anything because the Emperor will execute us. And then he doesn't even have any guards, so how would they know? Do you know what I mean? It's
no, it's got a guard because his bodyguard shows up.
He's got a whole retinue.
He's a big motherfucker though. Like, I'm not gonna fuck with him. If I got a gun or something, I'm gonna shoot him. But it's just fisticuffs. Fuck that. He'd probably just go bop and I'd be dead.
But still, it wasn't as if we had an open retinue, you know, of like guards, so they technically could have dispatched them. So this is what I'm trying to talk about: the display of power. Karstein has that much power that he doesn't need like an honor guard or like soldiers with him. He can just dally down from the castle with his bodyguard and have his way. And this whole gang, like, there are about 15 of them, of the Brotherhood, with their pitchforks. So
yeah, something like that.
That's what I'm talking about. This is the interchange of power. So all of a sudden, Karstein's the powerful one, and the Brotherhood aren't. And effectively, even offers the girl, yeah, go ahead, take her, I don't care. You know what I mean? Just openly contemptuous of them. And effectively, Gustav and his cronies are sent with their tail between their legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least they still got somebody to burn.
Find some poor girl walking for no reason, just gathering flowers, which was the thing back then because there wasn't much else to do. Like, there's no shortage of these like ladies to be sacrificed. It's crazy, and nobody misses them. Like, nobody's like, hold on, that was my daughter. What the hell, you know?
They just naturally assume that it has something to do with Jesus.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. It's like, of course she's missing because God
went into the woods, so therefore shapeshifter got her or something, or whatever folklore of the day. You know, it was just funny that the way they're able to just wantonly carry on, like, because they're doing it in their local area, so it's the same village. These places are very inbred and they're mixed, so they all know each other. So it's not as if they're strangers. That's what I just found quite hilarious about it all. Let's see.
And we get the fun reveal of Count Karnstein being a vampire. That was a lot of fun. Forget which one was it that
Frida.
snuck out of the house.
Yeah, Frida's the...
Yeah, it was Frida. There we go. Because she's just like, oh, hey, look, there's a light on over that place. I'm going to walk way the fuck over there in the middle of the night, because why
the
not?
bodyguard just grabs her. Like, she's obviously heading that direction, so he could have just, like, ushered her towards the carriage. That would have actually been more seductive, in my sense. In my thing, rather than just picking her up and bundling her into the carriage. But it was funny.
Yeah.
So
whatever.
gets her up to the castle. Turns out he's trying to conjure eternal life or conjure Satan, and oh god, it just reminded me of... Have you watched The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina?
I've watched like the first
It was
episode or
cringy.
two.
Yeah, that's...
It is pretty funny. It's exactly what you would imagine a Christian thinks a Satan worshiper
It
is.
was just utter cringe.
Yeah. But everything is for Satan. I do it for
And
Satan.
I'll carry an evil axe because there's no logic behind it.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh, the Young and
so
the Innocent. It's great. Back in the day. But it was weird. The weird bit is tries to do the sacrifice. He's bored with the rent a fucking ritualists or something. Like
that would be my
guess. Do you put an ad out? Right, I need some
who just goes around and
ritual enactors to perform satanic... where do you find these people? They're not even... I would imagine if they're an actual satanic cult, they would all be close brothers. It would be secretive. But it's like, he's just...
Yeah, it wouldn't just be like, oh, hey, let's have them come over, because
like
maybe this one will work.
In the newspaper for occultists. It was just very, very strange and funny, but they all bugger off because he's not happy with them. He decides to stab her anyway because why not? The plot has to move forward. But and this is a bit where I get confused, or I think it goes a bit weird and pointless. The blood from the sacrifice wakes up Countess Marcella. And she's actually an amazing character that appears for 5 minutes. She comes back from the grave to appear. She's like a great aunt or something, with a message from Satan saying that he can be immortal, a vampire. Fair enough. And then she just vanishes.
Well, yeah, if she stuck around, she'd die.
I just
can't kill her off that
easily. It was a bit of a waste of a character. She could have been in the castle with them, and they both... there could have been so much interplay going on there that I just thought she was a bit of a waste of a character to be brought out in such a way just to disappear with no explanation. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of an easy way to explain immortality. Or lazy, I guess, really.
Appear, do it, and then just write herself out of the rest of the story for no reason. And then this is where we start getting... because I think they start playing with time here a bit. This is where it gets a bit confusing, because they have Frida now under Karstein's enthrall. And he's openly carrying out these rituals in front of her, and they've got the some version of the Baphomet just permanently set up in his courtyard. That's what I'm talking about, the power, because he can openly do this, and the Brotherhood, if they're going after anybody, should be going after him, but they don't. And he's just openly bringing in occultists, and I think they wear their robes all the time because it's not even hidden, and he's just flaunting in their faces, and they're going picking poor village girls for no reason, and Gustav's being a terror to his nieces because he doesn't like them, and it's all this whole interplay of just effective bullying and who has power, who doesn't, and that's where
Mm-hmm.
I like Anton's character, the teacher, because he's kind of the straight guy in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, he's kind of the hero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the voice of reason.
So we're seeing Frida's now. She's in enthrall. They kind of skip past all that, how much time it took, and that. But she's been sneaking out every night, going to the castle, which you'd honestly think, life being that cheap, Karstein should have just made her a concubine, and there'd be nothing Gustav could have done about it. If he had just
Right.
like he's openly flaunting, so I don't get the whole Frida. I understand what's going to happen because of the plot, but in the circumstances set up, Karstein should have just took her on. You know, right? She's come to live with me now. What are you going to do about it? You know, and then openly defile his niece in front of him. You know, that would have been like that would have been a whole
That'd have
other
been
play
hilarious.
altogether. And then just watching Gustav become more and more bitter and twisted as we see a bit of, you know, as this movie goes along. But yeah, it turns out, I can't remember the other ones. Matt, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
fucking
drawing
write
a
her name
blank
down.
too.
Flipping, it's Madeline Collins' character. She's the one that plays her, but she's getting whipped on a daily basis for sneaking out because she's taking her sister's place out of love and loyalty, even though her sister's absolutely vile to her. You know what I mean? It's
Oh yeah. Yeah, and her progression as an evil character just gets worse and worse every time we see the
yeah. And once
interaction
again, there's
between the
another
two.
power play. You know, I mean, that's why this whole movie is about power,
Mm.
because even when in a bedroom in a house, there's a power play between the two twins. You know, one's submissive, one's dominant, and it just goes from there. Then eventually, what happens? Oh god, what happens to make Anton call them all out? Because Anton gets
Just they start discovering bodies of people because
parts.
Count what's his bucket when he kills people, they're on his grounds and his detail takes care of them. But Frida's out there just killing motherfuckers because she's a vampire now and can. And they just keep discovering more and more bodies. And finally, he's like, "Look, this shit's coming from there. We all know it's
Yeah,
coming
that's what
from
it
there.
was.
Let's do something."
Yeah, I don't understand why Frida killed Karstein's basically manservant, who was responsible for getting the sacrifice. He basically organizes the sacrifices and the occultists. Her killing him.
Well, and he's also the one that takes care of the bodies too. Like anytime
Yeah.
someone's like sacrificed, like he's the one that takes care of it and makes sure
So
that it's
Frida killing
hidden.
him.
So for him to, yeah, that was a
Yeah, I
bad
think
move on her
that's
part.
what kicked it all off, wasn't it? She basically, I think what they're trying to say is that she has been, once again, the power play, she has been given an ultimate power and she's no control over it. And we've seen from the start, she has no control over her impulses. She's the impulsive one, compulsive.
Yeah.
She has no regulation. So, yeah, that's what kicks it all off. Sorry, just trying to get the memory banks going there. Yeah, so it's Frida's killing spree that basically has Anton call out the Brotherhood. And that was actually my favourite scene. When he effectively walks into their own chamber and calls Gustav a coward. And the whole lot of them is like, you chicken shit. You know where this guy is, but you want to go and hunt, go and burn maidens for no reason. Like, you disgust me sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, you're not even killing vampires properly, you idiots. That's why I study this stuff, you morons. You're not even doing it right. You burn them to come back. Oh, was that right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it was Gustav that, oh, was that right then? He kind of does like a whole thing of, oh, I didn't realise that, but they're simple books. Like, they're fucking guidelines. Yeah, that, once again, the whole interplay was brilliant. And then we'll get the burning torches and pitchforks. And once again, this castle is so empty. Like, he's a count.
Yeah.
He's effectively, from what we know, is second to the Emperor. You know what I mean? Anything that happens to him and the Emperor's coming down with his Imperial Guard and he's going to wipe out the village. You know, that's how well thought of Karstein is. and yet there's only like
Hmm.
3 people in the castle.
That makes sense. I mean, if he's trying to conjure up Satan himself, you got to get rid of the
Yeah,
distractions.
just honestly, I think it's more budgetary. They'd want to pay more actors, but still.
No, no, it had everything to do with
Yeah,
the story.
I'm not
Wink.
cynical at all. Yeah, so then we get the sort of end of the fight scene. They're trying to get Karstein, and it's cool. I'm glad Gustav gets killed
Hmm. Oh yeah, you know from the beginning he has to.
because he's as much to blame for what's going on as Karstein himself, and he carries out his own
Mm. Well, and especially because he almost kills
shit. I was
the
about to say,
wrong
but
twin because they do the
yeah,
whole
but
swaparoo thing, and it ends up being the good one that gets locked up
God, I
and
actually
is going to
forgot
be
that. Yeah,
murdered.
like that was the thing. Once again, Karstein himself, like somebody that powerful should have henchmen to do his bidding, but now that's okay. I'm going to go to jail, and you're going to swap with your sister. Yeah,
Hmm.
they actually go into Gustav's house, kidnap her, and then take her to the jail, swap her, and then that's where Anton. Yeah, that's where Anton decides to like enough's enough. You've got the wrong one. You're idiots.
Yeah,
And then the whole scene with the cross, er, it's just cheesy, but
yeah.
it's kind of fits with the time. It's, yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Sorry,
It
I lost a
fucking
complete
works.
section of the movie there. Sorry, folks. Just brain. Right?
Well, all in all, it was actually a pretty small scene. Regardless of how much brevity there was in it, it was a pretty
Yeah, and it was
minute
actually
part of the
quite
movie.
central to the plot. I mean, blink and you miss it sort of thing, the way they did it.
Hmm.
But they spent all this time burning
Hmm.
villagers. It's. I know they're trying to set the scene of superstition and religious dogma, and once again, the whole power play, so it kind of worked in that sense. But yeah, it was kind of blink and you miss it. That they went to that effort
Yeah,
because Karstein doesn't come across as somebody particularly loyal to those under his
yeah.
wing. So he'd happily have sacrificed Frida for no reason, just as an inconvenience. Especially when it was obvious that he can't control her because she's not playing the game;
Hmm.
she's going off doing her own thing. But yeah, then you get the whole storm the castle, the battle scene. Um,
Hmm.
how does Frida get killed? She gets stake through the heart. Wasn't it stake?
Shit. Yeah, yeah. Pretty sure that's what it was. It's been a second since I've watched it. I didn't get a chance to actually rewatch it
All
last
right.
night, so I forget the ending.
um, yeah, Frida gets killed first. Karstein grabs the sister. Gustav tries to rescue her, and
Hmm.
then he gets killed. Which, like I said, I was happy that happened because I like the way Peter Cushing, like, off the three, the top three in the Hammer sort of era, Cushing, Price, and Lee, they're not afraid to degenerate themselves. They don't have to play the
Hmm.
hero. They're actually able to play complicated characters. That's why nobody will ever touch their class or their ilk ever. Do you know what I mean? Because they
Hmm.
can actually bring a bit of humility. That the playing of the role is more
Hmm.
important than their ego, which effectively
Yeah,
got lost since
definitely.
the 80s. You know what I mean? From the 80s, it's all been about the star, and it's actually the star's name on the movie as opposed to the title. It's like a Stephen King book. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
see Stephen King's name in the title bigger than the actual title of the book. You know what I mean? That's ego right there. And that's where I think things get a wee bit lost when too much of that, goes on. But yeah, so Peter Cushing character Gustav gets killed, and then Anton's the one that actually kills Karstein. And then you have that little
Hmm.
like random. None of the other vampires like disintegrated, but because it's him, and it's not as if he's been a vampire for hundreds of years. He's been a vampire for 5 minutes, but yet
Yeah.
he had to disintegrate into as if he lived for hundreds of years. Now, if it had been Countess Carstel, I could have understood it. You know what I mean? Her being...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it's just assumed that she's been one
Yeah,
for a
that she was
long
brought back to
time.
life because the injection of blood again. Yeah, but she just vanished. I don't know. I think it would have been cool seeing if she had have appeared and like wiped out the Brotherhood or something and left it there standoff. But like I said, I just think she was a character that wasn't utilised enough. But classic Hammer horror, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was ahead of its time. And see the whole graveyard scene with the mist and the backdrop. I love that imagery.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's so beautiful. Like like even though you know it's a complete set, like it's I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah,
it just takes you
suspension
somewhere
of
else.
disbelief.
And it was so weird too because it was set in such a weird spot, but you just believe that, oh,
Yeah,
of course that's gonna be there.
yeah, it was fun. Yeah, that's why I love these kind of movies because they put such an effort in the aesthetics that it does
Oh
help you
yeah.
just suspend disbelief and get into the zone. That's where
Hmm.
when they brought out Woman in Black, that was kind of the return of Hammer films, and I was so joyous
Hmm.
to see that movie, and they still kept some of the truth from this era, you know, but underutilized because
Hmm.
Hammer's disappeared again, which is just a shame.
Yeah. Well, it was something for a different time, different aesthetic, and people just don't understand it. So as much as I hate that it's not around, I
Yeah,
also
it's probably
understand
hard
why
to
it's not
fit
around.
into today, you know. Who knows? Maybe in 20 years' time they'll revive it because I honestly see a revival happen
Hmm.
in film and entertainment because we've hit the bottom of that barrel now. You know, in terms of creativity, it can only go back up.
Hmm. I mean,
One can hope indeed.
one can hope.
Right, and carrying on with the Hammer theme, obviously we're back to. I bet you're really happy I got you to watch this TV show. This team.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, they're not all winners, but even the bad ones are still entertaining.
So this time we decided to look Hammer House of Horror, the one season TV show that kind of came into our lives and disappeared again. Um, we looked at Charlie Boy and The Silent Scream.
Hmm.
It was
Yeah,
yeah.
Charlie Boy
I'm
was
just
okay.
I'm
There's a
having
whole
a
lot of okay.
major difficulty with the sound editing.
Yeah, no, the sound was definitely
It's
bad, and a lot of shit just didn't make sense about it, like the theft. Just so nonchalant, like people show up to the dude's house and just completely fucking gut it, and then he sees them and doesn't even think, oh
that's
hey,
suspicious.
that mysterious van right in front of my place left the same time I got there, and now everything's gone. Yeah, there was a little bit of weird shenanigans going on,
Yeah, it
but
just
it
reminds me
was all
how
right.
bad TV is. It's like, and the thing
Yeah.
is, back in the 80s, there was only three channels. We didn't get sorry, there's only four channels, and we didn't get channel five to like the early 90s. So, like, you had to be a higher standard to get on TV. It wasn't like now where anything like us two dickheads can sit in here talk and broadcast. You know what I mean? Anyone can be on fucking TV. But back then there was only like the three channels, and making a TV show was a major undertaking. So looking back at these and seeing how nonchalant they are about the plot, it's just a bit weird, you know. But yeah, Charlie
Mhm.
Boy, basically, we've got the main characters, Graham and Sarah. They inherit their father's estate after he has a random accident. They tried to attribute it to the fetish, but didn't quite land. It just seemed like it was an accident for no reason. Nobody wished it or anything. So what we have then
Mhm.
is all the stuff is being labelled up for auction. They've got pick of whatever they want. Obviously, the will's already been read, and
Mhm.
Graham has this always had this plan to be in charge of a film production company. He was going to go
Mhm.
on with his brother. His brother then reneges on him on the spot, which sets off this whole sequence of events. Why would you give up your job when you haven't got the business set up yet? That that
Yeah,
was just utter
I don't
stupidity.
know.
So he gives up his job because of the inheritance, which he knows isn't enough, to actually form the
Mhm.
company by itself. He hasn't got nothing's been signed, so even
Mhm.
if they started this right away, still having a job while all the contracts and stuff were signed up, he would still need another method of income coming in. So the way they wrote this was very
Yeah.
lazy. It just it's
Hmm.
almost like, right, how do we get from A to B as quickly as possible without any thought? Just
Hmm. I mean, it worked. It definitely
yeah. I
moved the
think they just wanted
plot.
to get him to the point where, and this is where the whole story actually kicks off because the rest is just filler and doesn't make any sense. But because his brother knocks him back, he gets drunk.
Hmm.
Uh, his girlfriend Sarah decides that she likes the African fetish doll, basically from an African form of voodoo, and she decides to call it Charlie Boy. So that's where the title of the show
Hmm.
comes in. So random, like
Hmm.
it's the ugliest piece of art. I'm not a fan of African art. Like a lot of it is brutally ugly. Uh, they do lots of wood carvings, and I just can't get with it at all.
Hmm.
I like love Egyptian art, love Asian art, love uh,
Hmm.
like the old Aztec stuff. All that has class, but African art, I don't know. I just find those wood carvings to be hideous, and it was a thing in the 80s that everyone had
Fair.
one in their front room for some reason in the UK.
Hmm.
Honestly, you just saw them everywhere. They're horrendous. But anyway, she likes this thing, decides to take it, and of course it's evil. And then
Hmm.
he gets drunk, stabs at the doll, and then stabs a photograph, and that just kicks off the spell.
Oh, I thought it was
Did
he stabbed
he?
a picture and then
Was it
stabbed
the
the
other one?
doll, and that's
Yeah,
how it. Yeah, I don't know. There
yeah.
was stabbing
Because
of
that's what you
stuff
do.
involved, and
Yeah,
apparently that's all
that
he
was it.
can
He's
do.
just and the precision slices. When they do the camera cuts, like you slash it wildly, but they make precision slices on the doll, and it's just weird.
Yeah, it's like this is supposed to be a giant chunk of ebony, but yet he's
Yeah,
going through it like it's Play-Doh with a fucking box cutter or
yeah,
a letter opener. It's like, man, that's
yeah. It
some
was
weak
like
ass
really over
wood.
the top, but like I said, it was like they're racing to get there with the story. It's like, okay, we don't like plot, we just want onto the deaths now. So
Mm.
that's what kicks off the event. So sure, one by one, they all start getting knocked off, and it was by the time that just before Gwendolyn was about to die, the housekeeper is when the twig on what's actually going on.
Hmm.
So he's running around. He's got the
Hmm.
the old the valuer who was there to start is obviously the guru who knows everything because he's an antique dealer, and yeah, it just the William Tell scene that really lost it for me. Where his partner gets killed in the film shoot, and you see the crossbow and the
Hmm.
music and the crossbow, and you're like, would you just
It's
shoot
like
him
just
already?
fucking do
You've let it up about
it.
5 times. Like if you'd actually
Right.
took 30
Yeah.
seconds of that scene and put it into some of the plot device, then we might have got somewhere.
Hmm. It's like you're not building suspense. All you're doing is
Yeah,
drawing it
it's
out,
like
and making it
fucking shoot him
boring.
alright. So eventually, and then they put the weekend as if the weekend was going to get shot, which she knew wasn't going to happen. So it's the 80s, it's
Hmm.
terrestrial TV. As much as things could be a bit risque, still you're not shooting kids with crossbow bolts. So that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. One by one, everyone in the photograph, all five, of them start getting popped off. And this is the bit where he goes back to get the doll because he's told of burning it, and then the house has
Hmm.
been burgled for no reason. Just like if the doll had made
Yeah.
it more difficult, like brought a tree crashing down or made it difficult for him to get in the house, I would have understood. But yeah, just a couple of men in the van just clean out the house, and then it turns out his friend's the one that might have told him. Like it was just a weird, random
Yeah. It's like, oh, he's in the mafia,
Yeah,
and he
and he
stole your
just goes
shit.
and yeah, give
Cool.
me his address. I'll just go and beat him up because yeah, that's how it works. That was a
Yeah.
waste. That was actually if I'd taken that scene out and put a bit more into the suspense of the supernatural aspect, this would have worked a lot better. But that was just like a side
Hmm.
quest for no reason in a 40-minute TV series.
Hmm.
Just doesn't make sense. But eventually we get there. His girlfriend gets killed as he's driving past her in the car crash. Just it was just like by the numbers, just knock all the plates down. Wasn't really like
Hmm.
there's nothing to think about in this episode. Yeah, it's just get to the
Yeah.
end, and then he tries to burn the fetish. The fetish stabs him with itself. That was
Yeah.
that was actually I was just
That
like,
was pretty funny.
okay then. And then we didn't get to see whether it got burnt or not because it just cuts off.
Well, he ends up dropping the fetish and then falls into the fire himself. So he burns up, but the fetish
All right,
just watches while he
the where
burns.
I was watching it just kind of cut off at that point.
Mm.
So it was very strange. Yeah, so I missed that bit.
Yeah,
So
that is weird.
he gets stabbed and then he's like wrestling with it, which it's not even moving. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? If it had came alive, I would understand, but
Yeah.
it's inanimate, so there's no reason for this to be happening. It's just pure overacting.
Hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely funny, but yeah, better than last month anyway. Wasn't great, but
Hmm.
definitely it was watchable. It was
It was
fun.
watchable.
It's a sign of its times. You know what I mean? It hasn't aged well, but it's good to look back and see where what the good and the bad points instead of through rose tinted glasses. But at least we get to
Hmm.
finish off on a high note.
Yeah.
Peter
Another Peter Cushing
Peter
classic.
Cushing just waltzes into a TV show and like sleepwalks the whole way through it and still outacts everybody. That's the synopsis for this.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
For
I
instance,
thought it was pretty
you
good.
could have these guys just sitting in the chair, which they have done, reading a book, and you'd watch it. You know what I mean? That's how amazing these guys are. You know,
Hmm.
R.I.P. to them. Like they're definitely like icons on themselves and brought something to the world, which you don't see too much now. But
Hmm.
yeah, it starts off, and here's where it's funny because it's set in like a small village. So once again, small rural England, probably less than
Hmm.
200 people in the entire village. How the fuck do you build a Nazi lab under a pet shop? Like a fully functioning.
Peter fucking Cushing, apparently.
He has a fully functioning lab with its own like super, not even just a bit of a power supply. I mean, super duper like kill you if you touch it generator power supply under a row of shops,
Hmm.
and nobody notices.
Yeah.
So
Well, especially like with how the back opens up, like it
yeah,
opens up
it's
to a
sci-fi
fucking
shit.
park. Like, how would you not notice this giant metal sheet?
Yeah,
But
that was like
whatever.
proper sci-fi shit.
Suspension of
I honestly get
disbelief.
the feeling that
It comes into play.
oh, Peter Cushing's went, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing one of these TV shows, and the production companies went, oh, this is what's happened. Okay, he mentioned an interest, so they took the entire budget they were going to spend in each episode and they put it into this one. That's what's happened.
Yeah,
They've just went, fuck, Peter Cushing wants to be in
probably.
this, right? You're not having that money for these last 10 episodes. We're keeping it for this. So we do see the next few episodes are going to be in front of pantomime, stage scenery, because they've spent the entire budget in this one episode. Because holy shit, that's really like notches it up in terms of TV special effects and everything else. But so he's just down in his dungeon lab zoo, all things at once
Mhm.
with friggin' panthers and leopards and fucking everything. in the middle of a
Yeah.
village. Like, and nobody, you can't pass that off as a friggin' pet shop. Rawr, you know, like.
Hey, you know what? There was totally well, no, because they explain that it's the entire area is soundproof, but like all the animals are so scared into submission that they kind of keep their mouths shut,
Yeah, the
except
panther's
for,
not
of
giving up.
course, the panther. But there's totally there's animals there. You got that one little boxer puppy and a bird,
Yeah.
maybe some fish. So it's all legit pet shop.
Like, rawr in the background. Like, yeah, okay. Just hilarious, but yeah, just when I saw this and just saw Peter Cushing, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be bonkers. You just know it's going to be
Hmm.
absolutely fun. So, premise of the story is we have Chuck. He just got out of prison, and he goes back. And flip's sake, I tell you what, they're doing alright for themselves because they're living in a nice house. Like that's a nice like four
Hmm.
slash five bedroom English countryside house for someone that basically hasn't been able to pay bills. You know what I mean? They say crime doesn't pay, but I don't know. They're doing all right.
Looks like a pace. Yeah. Even though
Yeah,
he's a
he's
petty
obviously done all
thief,
right
it's
for
still
himself
paying.
because she's still been able to keep that house, and the only thing she's had to do was cut off the telephone. But anyway,
Hmm.
he comes back. It turns out that Blake, Martin Blake, that's uh, Peter Cushing's character, has been visiting him in prison all this time as like a support worker, and he also gave him like
Hmm.
an absolute ton of money to start up again, and that was it. This guy Chuck, he's out. He wants to change his ways, change over a new leaf. Blah blah blah. He goes to meet
Hmm.
Blake at the pet shop to say thank you, which that doesn't even raise any flags. Like the pet trade is not that good. That you're handing over wads of cash like that just randomly.
Yeah.
So no alarm bells whatsoever.
No,
He's
no,
like,
of course not.
could you mind the shop for a week? Yeah, no problem. Oh, not this bit. And then it shows in the lab with, which that was illegal. You know what I mean? That was trafficking like exotic animals. So that on its own
Hmm.
was should have sent him running a mile, especially him being the ex-con doesn't want to get back into bother again. You know that should have sent him running, but obviously no, the
Hmm.
plot needs it to happen.
Yeah.
So of course he starts, feeding the animals. He explains about the whole that the electrified fence is on. If he switches it off, still the animals won't come out until he rings a bell. So it's all Pavlov's dogs type of stuff. They're all conditioned.
Hmm.
That death scene actually at the start. Sorry, I should go back to that there. The way they kill the animals in this scene is just absolutely brutal. When you see the way,
Hmm.
yeah, so
Just
quick as
fucking
well and rapid.
explodes.
So we get the explanation when
Hmm.
the leopard tries to leave its cage without the bell ringing, and it just fries instantly on the spot. And it was done
Yeah.
so swiftly that it was like, whoa, what's going on here? Because everything else has been so slow paced. So
Hmm.
that's why I think they've just channeled all their efforts into this one episode to give it its all. But yeah, he starts
Yeah.
back to Chuck. He's basically given the job of just feeding the animals, and of course there's a safe line out there or up there, and as you do, if he stole, like he can't help himself. He wants to go and steal from it, and it's like the guy knows you. It's a small village. You're just out of prison, so
Hmm.
obviously the police will go looking for you. You'll be the first. You've got a history of theft. Like, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, and his wife even called him on that shit
Yeah,
because he was talking to her about it the night before he went in and did that shit. And it just kind of sets up how dumb of a
yeah. It's
fucking
like the
character
master
he is.
criminals aren't in jail. The master criminals are the ones who aren't in jail.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, obviously not very bright. But this is where it just ramps up and becomes like whole episode's tortures. So it turns out it's a trap. He tries to crack a safe,
Hmm.
he opens the safe and it opens up a trapdoor into his own cell, which you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that's gonna be. Yeah, like you knew something like that was going to happen, that he was part of the experiment, and then it turns out that Blake's been watching him the whole time. I think that's the only thing they were missing were cameras, because obviously CCTV wasn't a big thing back in the day. It was still relatively new technology, but that's all that needed were little cameras to be looking around. So they didn't quite explain how he's able to see him, but it was part of the mysticism as well, I suppose. But Blake appears.
Yeah.
Told him that he knew he wouldn't be able to help himself. This is part of his, experiment. Are you going to let me go? No, when you learn to behave. So he knows automatically he's part of it. Then what is it? The wife comes to find out where he's been.
Yeah, well, she goes after.
Goes to the police first.
She goes to the police to talk about it, and they're like, fucking, whatever. If he shows up, let's know. If not, fuck him.
And then she goes to the pet store. He gives her Bill's story, but she sees the coat hanging up. That was a giveaway. Yeah, so Chuck's jacket's basically hanging up behind the door, and she notices it, so that's what makes her come back later. But it turns out he knew this too.
Yeah.
So he had this all anticipated. So he knew what the wife would do, he knew what he would do, so she ends up getting trapped with him. Can't remember why he threw the dog in with him.
Well, so the dog went in before the wife because the dog makes noises anytime anything out of the ordinary happens. Like, that was the whole point of throwing him down there. That way, if the dog starts barking, obviously, then Cushing's character is going to know something's going on, and he needs to go in immediately.
She came the first time, didn't she? And
yeah, and the dog and the bird were going off,
acting suspiciously. So yeah, he dumps the dog in, and then she comes back with the climbing rope and stuff to rescue him. Yep. And then that's where he just hoofs her in as well.
Yeah.
This is where it gets funny, because I think they don't quite explain how time operates. Because it looked as if it was only maybe for a day or two. But to have Chuck completely losing his mind.
Well, and I don't know, like, I think that one can be kind of easily explained, just given the fact that he just got out of prison and he's already locked back up into a different kind of prison. Like, I could imagine that would fuck someone's head up a little bit. But also, it's
kind of lifestyle, so it sounds as if he's been in and out of prison all his life. So, some people are institutionalized like that. Like, it wouldn't be... For him to be acting the way he is, and as if they're starving... the thing over the food as well, it was just a bit weird. I honestly think they're trying to overcompensate because Peter Cushing's in this episode. I think the actors are like, oh shit, I'm in here with a legend. I'm gonna because
they're trying to play to the back seats
step
as well,
and overdoing it. Look at me, I can act too. But yeah, he's completely losing his mind, and she's like, "What? It's only the bell has rung yet. Nothing's happening." And then he's acting like an animal already, which is just weird. And then this is when Cushing starts messing with him. He opens up the escape hatch. And like I said, out on the park, so nobody walking past notices or anything. It's very, very strange.
Yeah, just
or was
a little
it meant to
bit.
be a garden? Did he own that land?
I don't know. I don't think it ever really explains any of that.
Yeah, it just sounds a bit weird. But then, obviously, this is where we get the flipping puppy getting fried, because he, of course, being a dick, throws a spoon for the puppy to go and catch to see if it would survive. And then, it just comes back. The thing switches back off again, comes back, and just... That was actually a horrible death scene, even though it was, like, you knew it was a puppet. But
That was.
Yeah.
That was still pretty sad.
and then the way that once again the actors switch from her being completely traumatized to like they start to make love, or she's saying only pretend, but it's like the flipping body of the puppy, the thing's still open,
Mhm.
the body of the puppy's still laying there, and then they go
Yeah.
straight into like making out with each
Right.
other.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it was a ploy to, make him think something else is going on than it is, but yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was a bit disjointed with the acting with this, and I don't know whether they're trying too hard
Hmm.
because it basically essentially got a superstar because Peter Cushing was a superstar at that point. You know what I mean? He's been going since the 30s, so
Hmm.
that's like having an A-list Hollywood actor arrive in your TV show. So I can imagine that they're just trying so hard, but they're overreaching. So they
Hmm.
finally twig on that there's like a sequence of clicks before the power goes back on, and
Hmm.
they never twigged on the fact that he didn't close the door, the hatch again, that they were being played. Yeah, in between the scene, we see Peter
Yeah.
Cushing going, lifting the keys out of the coat and driving off somewhere. If you remember that bit. Yeah, so they kind of
Yeah.
set up the
No,
end
I
scene,
don't.
which took me a minute to understand what he was doing, but yeah, you see him going into the actual coat, Chuck's coat, lifting out the keys and then vanishing. And then they twig on, like the thing's still open, they twig on that the electric turns off at 2 clicks or something, and then they both escape, which
Hmm.
was what did they do? They escape. How did this play out? Because Peter Cushing ends up
Shit,
in
I
the
don't
cage.
remember. She
Is
is.
it just
She
her?
escapes. She escapes. If I remember correctly, she escapes, gets her husband out, and then they throw Cushing in there, and
Doesn't the
then
Panther
they
get out?
run home.
This is where it gets a bit blurry. This is where the whole
Oh yeah,
sequence.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. The Panther gets out, so they both get out, and then as Dude Face is going back in to, fuck up Cushing, he walks in, sees the Panther got out, and is getting ready to fuck up Cushing, and then is like,
Yeah, the
okay, never
Panther's
mind,
taking care of
fuck
it.
this. And then the Panthers like gets him in the cage, and then
And they
they get
close the
out.
cage up this
Yeah.
time, so there's no sound. Isn't that right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So that was the
Yeah.
whole point. That this is where it's it got a bit blurry at that point. I was trying to figure that bit out. They kind of rushed it.
Hmm.
It's like almost they put so much into the suspense, and then it's like, oh, quick, we got to get to the end. We're out of time. They kind of blur a few things together.
Yeah, it did kind of feel like that. Yeah, and then that's the big reveal. They get home and then realize that he had set it all up at their house, so they're essentially
Yeah,
prisoners in their
it's
house.
weird as well because how do you do that with an electric supply? Because especially with the old type doors and windows, all you need is something non-conducting to like smash a window in. And then obviously the
Hmm.
whole point is they're in a big isolated cottage right by the motorway, so they can call for help, they can see people, but they're never going to be heard. And because Cushing's locked in his own cell, he's going to die a death too. Yeah, I mean, it was all kind of left like that. Did one of the police officers get killed too? I missed that bit. Yeah, a police officer
I
came
don't
to try
remember
and
that part.
investigate, and something attacked them. Yeah, there was
Yeah,
one of the police
I guess I
officers came
missed that
down to
part.
try and find out what was going on and got killed. But yeah, it was a bit of a mess. Definitely the best episode of the series so far, but still the writing is so disjointed. It's hard to keep track.
Hmm.
Uh, don't know if you agree with that or not.
No, I agree.
No, it's good. It's a shame because I think if they had kept things simple, I think the problem is this is where they've tried to overcomplicate plots and rush through bits, and it's
Mm.
kind of been prevalent through this whole series. Is that the idea is there, and the idea was to make like mini versions of the Hammer horror movies, which have stood the test of time. Let's be honest.
Mm.
No, I mean they're just as enjoyable now,
Yeah,
even making fun of them, than when they first came out.
yeah.
But all in all, I did enjoy this one though. It definitely ramped it up, and you could just tell Peter Cushing was just sleepwalking the way through this. Like this was just a cheesy film. He was just like, easiest money in his life. And everyone else is just trying to like step up and act up to his standard. It was just funny to watch. But honestly, guys, yeah, check these out if you get a chance. Like they're just worth it for nostalgia alone, just to see how movies were made and TV shows, and bumps and warts and all. So decent selection this month, anyway. At least I thought we were going to struggle, but turned out pretty well. So
it turned out pretty well.
Happy out there. So I suppose the last thing to do is just thank our contributors for Horrific Tales. Our authors this month were Peter and Sarah, Damon Sy, Justine Johnson Hemestead, and Nicole came back with another little fun segment. Thank you very much for that. Of course, guys, you want to get involved, check out the website, go to our Facebook page, all that good stuff. We're all over the place. Send in your stories, get involved with the show. Love to hear from you. We've got a Teespring store now. So if you want to give us a wee bit of support, buy some merch, get the brand out there, let people know what's happening. That'll be much appreciated. And suppose just need to say, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.
Keep it horrific.